Every month we host a Q&A with a person of interest for West Ham United fans over on our Patreon. Now, this isn't an advert for Patreon. I'm not going to get you to try and say. In fact, do not join Hammers Chat Patreon, especially if you don't like sofa shopping stories. You will not enjoy it over there. But last night I was speaking to July's guest because we're hosting him next week. And we were just exchanging stories and we were having a laugh about how it's never dull supporting West Ham. That was last night. I went to sleep, I woke up, and it's just chaos everywhere. There's transfer rumours everywhere. There's talk of more coaches departing. There's talk of a potential transfer not joining because of David Moyes. It's just chaos. Just over 4 weeks ago, we won a European trophy. We won the Conference League 4 weeks ago. On Monday, we have our first friendly of pre-season. So, in my eyes, the new season officially begins on Monday. The first friendly is when I think it's now new season time. So, 4.5 weeks difference, right? 4.5 weeks. European champions, new friendly. In that time, Moyes has lost 2 coaches. He only had 4. 2 of them have departed the club. We've lost the captain. So, we don't know who the captain is next season. Our best player's leaving. There's no new signings. We haven't even seen the new kit yet, any of them. 3 kits, we're yet to see any of them. We don't know what they look like. We're wearing one of them on Monday night. We've got a director of football's come in, but yet nobody knows what his role is. It's just chaos. There is never a dull day supporting West Ham United. And if you need a reminder, just look at the difference between winning the Conference League to the first friendly on Monday and everything that's happened in between. And that's the quietest time of the year. That is the quietest time. And that's forgetting other things like the club having the 3rd kit up for sale at 35 quid a t-shirt, taking it off sale for a week and putting it back up at £90 with a little bit of embroidery, badly done embroidery on the middle of the shirt as well. This club, anyway. Welcome to the West Ham Transfer Rumours Show, where we take a look at the latest possible incomings and outgoings according to the media in the world of West Ham United. We're going to kick it off with a little bit of controversy surrounding Alex Scott. So, Gonzo mentioned it yesterday. Nick van Clantenboos has done a video, and the rumours are that David Moyes had a meeting with Alex Scott, and within said meeting, Alex Scott looked for reassurances over his playing time should he join West Ham United this summer. He failed to get the reassurances from David Moyes, and as a result, he doesn't wish to join the Hammers, and the transfer has been sabotaged, I think was the word that's been put out there by David Moyes. It's an interesting one, isn't it? There's 2 sides to me on this one. On one hand, you can kind of believe it because it's happened before. David Moyes has spoken to Tomori was the biggest one, I think. Onana as well. Last summer when we had sort of agreed a deal to sign Onana with the club, but he chose Everton over West Ham. And conversations within 2 football clubs was the reason that Onana decided to go to West Ham. Tomori was a little bit more evident, which was I asked David Moyes for assurances of game time at West Ham. I didn't get them. The manager basically said, no, you're not guaranteed game time. You're going to have to work hard and get in the team. So there is, he's done it before. It's something that Moyes has done before. However, I question the timing over this. I think for that to happen, Bristol City would have had to have given Alex Scott permission to speak to David Moyes. Now, obviously, conversations take place prior to permission. I know it's tapping up, but it happens all the time. Just look at Declan Rice to Arsenal. You won't convince me that Rice never had some form of talks, or Declan Rice's camp had some form of talks with representatives of Arsenal without West Ham knowing or without permission for West Ham. You won't convince me otherwise. So the possibility of a conversation taking place is there, but Alex Scott directly meeting up with David Moyes without consent of the club, I'm not sure about that one. And then I'll look at the timeline, which is pre-season started yesterday. Now, doesn't mean David Moyes was away right up until the last day. No, it doesn't. But Moyes would have been away for quite some time with his family. It's been a long season, right up until the middle of June, essentially. So he's only been away, he's only had 3 weeks off. He will have been away out of the country, away to Florida. Mark Warburton told us that's where Moyes likes to go with his family for a round of golf or 2. So Moyes would have been away. And in the meantime, we've been employing Tim Steidin. There's other reports which is that West Ham still haven't firmed up the list of targets. They haven't quite agreed on who they're going to go for. So for this Alex Scott rumour to be true, all the other rumours would have to be false, which is we don't know who we're getting yet. The committee hasn't quite decided. There's more than one rumour that had to be false for the Alex Scott one to be true. But like I said, there is something there that David Moyes has done in the past. I'm reluctant to believe it. Maybe it's because I hope it's not true, in the sense that I really want West Ham to sign Alex Scott. So perhaps I'm a little bit biased and a little bit blurred when it comes to this one. But I'm reluctant to dive in two-footed on David Moyes. I don't like it when he tells players that they're not guaranteed game time. I think he needs to lie a little bit. I understand people will admire his honesty with the player, but I think just every other manager can be lying. You need to... Don't hate the player, hate the game and all that. David Moyes needs to schmooze. He needs to lure them in. So if you've got one of, the biggest prospects in English football at the minute there in front of you, and he's asking for reassurances over game time, give him reassurances over game time. Once he's signed the dotted line, once he's a West Ham United player, then you can tell him you're going to have to work hard for your minutes at West Ham. But just say what you got to say to get him in the door. Is it deceit? Well, possibly. But I'll tell you what, if we don't intend on giving him any game time, why are we even buying him? Why would we spend 20 million on someone who's got no intention of playing? Obviously, Alex Scott would be looking for guaranteed first-team football week in, week out, but he'd get a form of first-team football. It just wouldn't be as much minutes as he's wanting straight away. But wherever he does end up, let's just say he went to Aston Villa or something, do you think Emery sat down and looked Alex Scott in the eye and said, I don't know about first-team football, mate. I don't know, I can't guarantee it. No, rubbish. So yeah, come to Villa, you're going to get loads of minutes. Look at Ramsey, we're throwing minutes at Ramsey. Youth players get a chance at Aston Villa. Come on. That's what we should be doing with Alex Scott. Lure him. Say what you got to say. Get him in the door. And then threaten him. then call him out and say, you're not guaranteed minutes at West Ham, son. But get him as a West Ham player first. I'm a little bit reluctant to believe the rumours. I believe that people are getting told these rumours. I believe Nick got told this by his source, whoever that is. I believe Nick's got told it. It's a bit like last week, Sean Whetstone put up that West Ham will pull out of the Declan Rice deal. I didn't believe it for a second. Rubbish. But I do believe Sean got told it. I believe Sean got told that West Ham would pull out of the deal. It's two different things. Believing the rumour is one thing, but then believing someone got told it is a different thing. And I think it's possible to believe one but not the other. So anyway, Alex Scott, he's still being linked to us. 22 million is the price. I hope there's something in this, a lot. Would he be my number one target? It's difficult to say, because I think long term he could possibly be the best signing we make this summer. Immediate impact, no, because he's not a replacement for Declan Rice. I think our priority this summer has to be to adequately replace the Declan Rice shaped hole in midfield, or holes. Alex Scott doesn't really fulfil that. But in terms of in West Ham in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, signing Alex Scott this summer might actually be the best signing we make. Hopefully that makes sense. So Alex Scott would love it. The rumours, we'll wait and see. They're not going to go away anytime soon, but we'll wait and see. On to Denis Zakaria. Loan with an obligation, as Gonzo covered last night, is the latest from the Italian side of things, that we're looking to loan him and buy him at the end of the season. Whether that's appearance based or not, I'd imagine Juve are just wanting a guarantee that we buy him 100%. And it's books, it's accounting. It's why Arsenal fans, or should I say Arsenal, it's why Arsenal are happy with the Declan Rice deal. Because while they're paying it over 24 months, it covers 3 accounting periods. There's 3 payments of 33.3 million each time, and it hits their books in 3 different years. So for cash flow purposes, accounting purposes, it looks good. West Ham get what we want, because we're get 2 years' time, we will have 100 million from Arsenal. And this is what the Zakaria deal would be. It would be just paying for Zakaria in 12 months' time, so we can still use money this summer. Obviously, the domino effect is next summer we're £50 million out of pocket before we've even begun. I still think it'd be a good value signing. I'm not doing cartwheels about it. I think there's better options out there, but I also think there's a lot worse options out there in terms of value for money. James Ward Prowse, the latest around him is actually that we're going to offer 20 million. That we believe, West Ham believe, Ward Prowse is now worth 20 million because of Southampton's relegation. Bearing in mind, the world know we're getting 100 million for Declan Rice. For some reason, I've got a feeling, call it a hunch, got a feeling Southampton ain't giving Ward Prowse away for 20 million. The thing is, though, the barometer's been set by James Maddison, isn't it? 40 million, so what's Ward Prowse? I'd say 30 million. I'll tell you what, if hypothetically, I don't believe this, but hypothetically Ward Prowse was 20 million, I'd be okay with that one. Do I want him for 40, 50 million? No. Because the resale value ain't there. You'd get a good player for a couple of seasons. But at 20 million, I think you can stomach that. You can stomach, I think, that would be the equivalent of buying Ward Prowse for 20 million and selling him, buying him for 40 and selling him for 20 in 2 or 3 season time. I'm okay with that. So buying him for 20 million now and keeping him till his contract runs out, or getting a handful of million for him in a few years, I'm okay with that, I think. But it's just 20 million is just, it's just rubbish. Obviously, Flynn Downs has been linked to Southampton a lot. Do you know something? I'm okay with him leaving. I've seen bits from him that suggest he's good enough, but I've also seen, or should I say, there's things I haven't seen from him which suggest he's good enough. And when I say good enough, I don't mean to be a squad player in the Premier League. He's done that. Last season, he was a squad player in the Premier League. He's done it. He can do that role. He's fine. Backup defensive midfielder, third choice centre midfielder, somebody to come on to see the games out. He can do that. He has proven it. Well done, tick, right? That's why I think that signing was a success. He was brought in as a squad player, and I think he's fulfilled the role of a squad player. However, can he step up and be first team for West Ham week in, week out? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. The games he looked good in were against weaker opposition in the Conference League. There wasn't too many Premier League games where I thought he stood out. He had some okay games in the Premier League, but that's about it. I'm looking for a little bit more. When Giles Bourne came in from the Championship, he looked great straight away. When Alan Creswell came in from the Championship, he looked great straight away. Ben Rama, the impact of Downs stopped being quite there yet. So if he was to leave, if he wasn't a West Ham fan, I'd be a bit, it is what it is. We took a punt, didn't work out, not the end of the world. But because he's got that West Ham fan element, you want him to succeed a little bit more, especially losing Declan Rice. We feel like you're losing a little bit of that identity, or players that get the club, players that love the club perhaps. We're losing one of them, so you become a bit more attached to the likes of Flynn Downs and Ogbonna and Kerr and Creswell and Johnson. You become a bit more attached to them. I'd be okay with him leaving. I guess it depends how much we get for him, but if we got our money back, I'd be okay with that. We took a punt for 10 million, didn't work out, we get 10 million back, I'm fine. I would like Hayden Hackney. We've not been linked to him. We've not been linked to Hayden Hackney. He'd be my replacement for Flynn Downs. I think he's better than Flynn Downs. I think defensively, I think Downs is possibly better. But in terms of passing, Flynn Downs' weakness, let's be perfectly honest about this, is in possession. He's not the strongest in possession. His pass completion rate looks good, but it's very sideways, very backwards, very, very safe. Hackney is not like that. Hackney is a bit more progressive, so I think he would be the perfect replacement for Flynn Downs to have a squad role, but I think he'd have more potential to eventually become a first team player at West Ham in a couple of seasons. Can't quite see it with Downs yet. I could possibly see that with Hayden Hackney. Moving on to Scott McTominay. I'm not going to get into it. You know my thoughts, but we're still being linked to Scott McTominay. Got a story about Scott McTominay. I'll tell you a story about... It's not about Scott McTominay. It's about me wanting Scott McTominay. I've got a story about that. I'll do it at the very end, though. The very end. So you lot that want the rumours can disappear. You nosy lot can stick around for a story. So, Frankfurt. 8 million. Now, this is getting tasty. About a month ago, they were wanting 20 million euros. So what's that? I don't know, 70 million pounds maybe. So now the price is 10 million euro, which is 8 million quid. Well, that would make it 16 million for 20. Anyway, there you go. They were wanting 16 million. Now they're wanting 8 million, apparently. But Frankfurt are open to selling him for 8 million quid. Oh, I love him. I think he's better value than Zakaria. I think Zakaria's okay value. I think that's punt money stuff. 8 million? That's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? I'm reluctant to believe the rumour. That's the rumour, though. It's coming from the German media side of things, and West Ham are being linked to him because we were linked to him when he was 20 million euro. So now, understandably, you'd imagine we're linked to him again. But I do think there's going to be a lot of Bundesliga links coming to West Ham because of the appointment of Tim Steidten. They'll naturally, they want to sell that player. Let's just link him to West Ham. Tim Steiden's there. Link him to West Ham. I mean, if we are genuinely in for Zakaria, you could suggest that there's evidence for that rumour, because given his history in the Bundesliga, so it would make sense. But we're being linked to, so I think he'd be a great signing. I think all-rounded player, tall, strong in the middle of the pitch as well. He's a bit sort of jack of all trades, master of none, but he's pretty good. He's pretty strong in every single department. He doesn't really have a weakness, but like I said, he doesn't have that glaring strength that perhaps other players bring to the team. So I would love so at West Ham. Now, Per Schurz is someone we're being linked to as well. Torino centre-back. don't know him. Now, he played for Ajax before his move to Torino. His name doesn't ring a bell. I will have watched him. I was having a look at when he was at Ajax at some of the games. I've seen some of the games he's played in. I was thinking, I've watched that game. Don't remember him at all. But anyway, he's a Torino centre-back, 23 years of age. The rumour is that we're going to offer 17 million plus Nikola Vlasic in order to try and get him in. We need a centre-back. I'm concerned about the lack of centre-backs being... Let's say that. I'm not really. I'm hoping that we sign a centre-back because... I'm more concerned at the lack of coverage that African nations is getting. We will lose a Gerd and Ben Rama and possibly Maxwell Cornet in January for a month, 6 weeks. That's a significant loss. We need to be prepared for this. We need cover for a Gerd. I don't want to go 4 to 6 weeks in January with Ogbonna, Keder and Zuma as our centre backs. We cannot do that. That is risky. We cannot do it. I don't need to explain to you as West Ham fans why it's risky. It's risky. We need another centre-back in this summer. Whether it's Schürrle or not, I don't have an opinion on him. Don't have an opinion. Kerkez, Alkmaar, we know about him. He played against us. Looked good. A lot of hype. Looked good, in fairness, as well, in that game that we played against Alkmaar. Being linked to us for 8 million. Now, this would be interesting. If this had legs, and I hope it does, based on one showing, I thought he was really good. But it's also... When a lot of journalists that watch that league week in, week out rave about him. I spoke to, I think his name was Michael from L'Orange podcast, who obviously watches Dutch football every single week, and he was raving about Kerkez. I'm comfortable taking his opinion and going with it. So when he's sitting there telling me Kerkez is one of the best left backs to come out of the Netherlands in recent years, I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable to say, all right, I'll believe you. I'll take that. When you saw him in that game, you could see what they were talking about, his movement, his attacking intent and stuff. So 8 million. This would be an interesting signing for us, because what we do not do at West Ham very often is buy players through opportunity. So a player might rock up who's available, but because we don't need them, because we don't need that position, we don't get involved. We'll just let them go somewhere. We don't compete. We say, well, good player, but we don't need a centre midfielder at this point, so we'll just let him go somewhere else. Because I would argue right now we don't need a left back. I know lots of people are going to say we do. Trust me, I know we need fullbacks. I know we need to upgrade them. But what I'm saying is that it's not the priority. I don't think the club have got any intention of buying a left back this summer, because we've got Creswell, we've got Emerson. I think they're happy running with those two next season. That's my point. So if we were to go get Kerkez, I think that would suggest a change of mentality from West Ham, which is, wow, this youngster's available for 8 million. We really like him. Let's go get him. But we don't need... Forget Creswell and Emerson. We need him. We can't allow him to go somewhere else. So we're going to go get him. And then we'll work out what to do with Creswell and Emerson once we've got Kerkez over the line. That would be interesting. I'd be excited, not just because of the player, but because it's not really a strategy I feel like we've seen from West Ham at all. And that would excite me. That would excite me a lot. We've been linked to an Algerian player. I can't even pronounce it. Fares Chali. I don't know him. Never heard of him. All the links to all the players mentioned in this video to their transfer market profile is in the description. So if you just go into the description, there's a list of all the players I've mentioned, whether I can pronounce them or not, with a link. Click on it and you can go have a look at their player profile for yourself. Express employee last week, to be fair, linked us to 3 Leeds players: Harrison, Robin Koch and Tyler Adams. Didn't really want Robin Koch. We've already got one in the boardroom. That's enough. But he's gone to Frankfurt. Funny enough, bit of a weird one. He's gone to Frankfurt on loan. This is his last year of his contract at Leeds. He's got a clause in his contract which says he can't play in the Championship. So it's not a release clause. It just prevents him from playing in the Championship. What's that? Didn't even know that was a thing. But anyway, so he can't play for Leeds next season. In the final year of his contract, he's gone on loan to Frankfurt. So obviously, do the math. When his loan expires, he's a free agent. Why they wouldn't just take him on a free... I mean, it's quite clever by Frankfurt, really, isn't it? Because they're having a look at the player without committing to a 3-4 year deal like they'd have to, and a sign-on fee, etc. So yeah, Koch's gone there, so he won't be coming to West Ham. Tyler Adams had a 30 million release clause. I'd be surprised if we went for him. I would take Harrison though. I do like Jack Harrison. I wouldn't take Barnes and Harrison. If we got Barnes, great. If not, Harrison is good, not really, but I think he's more versatile. Harrison can play left, right and through the middle in that number 10 role. And he was probably one of the few players that actually impressed me for Leeds last season. Not many did. Adams did as well, to be fair. But there's Harrison. Anyway, time for the McTominay story. Actually, we'll do the end slate. And then for those who want the story, stick around and I'll catch you in a bit. Right, last week I did a video. Why I think McTominay is a perfect midfielder for David Moyes. A lot agreed, a lot disagreed, and a lot said, alright, you've persuaded me, Gio. Now, that's not the point. I'm not here to convince you to agree with me. It's more just to throw up a debate and see what you guys are saying. Now, 90% of people that disagree do it fine. They do it properly, respectfully. I don't agree. Here's why. It's fine. Like I said, I'm not looking for you to agree. I like people that disagree, and I like the debate. But anyway, in the video, I mentioned how McTominay was in really good goal scoring form for Scotland. I specifically said McTominay plays differently to Scotland than Man United, hence why he gets goals for Scotland. He had 4 goals at this point. Or was it 5? It was 5 and 4 maybe. Maybe he's got 5 goals in 4 games for Scotland. So anyway, very clear it was about Scotland. Someone in the comments said I'm stupid for not understanding that the reason McTominay has scored so many goals is because he's playing with Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. And now, I don't bite to trolls. Like, when trolls come along, I can just ignore them. Gonzo bites a bit more. I've got a thick skin. I grew up in Scotland, in the northeast, supporting West Ham. So I've had it. I got not bullied. I had the piss taken out of me every single day for about 18 years for supporting West Ham. I've got a thick skin. I'm good, right? So trolls don't bother me. But to get called stupid and then to get told the only reason McTominay is scoring goals for Scotland is because he's playing with Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. Well, I'm sure you don't need me to point out the irony in that comment. But anyway, it tickled me actually, and I've been unable to forget it. I went to reply and I thought, I can't even, what am I meant to say? How am I meant to reply politely to that? I felt like replying saying, sorry mate, you've got it wrong, he scored for Scotland, not Man U. But I thought, no, because you've come at me with, oh, you're stupid, blah blah blah, I thought, I'm not going to bother. There's only one stupid one round, well, maybe there's 2 stupid ones round here, but he's certainly one and all. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on, subscribe if you to Ham's Chat. Catch up with you tomorrow.